My name is Sherry LaVon Harris, and I'm the host of His Will for Your Life podcast. This podcast is a safe and non-invasive place for others to be authentically themselves, unashamed, while receiving the healing, deliverance, and balance they need to become whole and effective servants in the kingdom. Now join us for our live broadcast. Greetings and welcome back to another episode of His Will for Your Life. I am your host, Sherry LaVon Harris, and we are concluding our series, And Fret Not, Small Beginnings. We've had a treat with our Black entrepreneurs all month long, and we are going to close out with two powerful individuals that have two different industries. And we hope that you will stay tuned and join us. Please like, tag, and share, and we'll be right back.
His Will for Your Life with Sherry Harris. This is your weekly Wednesday 7 p.m. podcast. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Informative, hot topics, testimonies, interviews, along with your weekly guests and more. And now here's your host, Sherry Harris.
Greetings again. I'm your host, Sherry LaVon Harris, and I am here with Glenn Wilson Jr. and Tamara Osbourne. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well.
I'm doing well.
Great.
Trying to catch up to myself.
Great. I am going to give you both an opportunity to share with our audience who you are and what you do.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Glenn, you want to go? You want me to go first?
Ladies first.
All right. Thank you. So I'm Tamara Osbourne. I am the owner and founder of Beautiful Creations, BEYOUTIFUL Creations. We are a women's clothing boutique out of Jackson, New Jersey. We do not have a brick and mortar. God took us a different route. I always feel uncomfortable saying we because it's really just me, y'all, but I wear many.
It's we. I did the same. It's we, though. It's for sure we.
It is. To God.
I wear all the hats, so it's we. But anywho, we don't have a brick and mortar. God took us a different route. We are online, but we have a mobile fashion truck, which is like a food truck, but for clothes.
Nice.
That's me.
Nice.
I'm Glenn Wilson Jr., owner operator of Shine Doctor Detailing. We've been in business for about 5 years, and at this point, we do have a brick and mortar in Manchester on Ridgeway Boulevard, which is near the naval base, Blakehurst Naval Base. So, yes.
Manchester. Where in Manchester? What?
So the address is it's in New Jersey. I'm sorry. So the address is 2486 Ridgeway Boulevard in Manchester, New Jersey.
Awesome.
Yep. Yep.
Well, we're going to dive right into our interview after we've had this wonderful introduction of you guys. Glenn, I'm going to put you in the back, and it's just going to be Tamara and I until we're ready for you. Is that okay?
I'm looking forward to listening.
Okay, we'll see you soon. All right, Miss Tamara, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
That's great. Well, guys, we are going to shine the spotlight on a vibrant world of Black-owned clothing from Tamara Osbourne. We're going to celebrate her creativity, the culture, and the community, and exploring each piece in her collection as a unique story that honors African American, Caribbean, African American heritage. So we're going to give you this opportunity now to just sit back and relax and just tell us all about you and your clothing brand. Is that okay?
That is fine by me. First of all, thank you so much, Pastor Sherry, for inviting me, for first doing this and for inviting me. I do consider it an honor and a privilege for you that you are exposing me to your audience. And I think now more than ever, these opportunities are critical to growing businesses. Because there's a lot going on, right? We don't have to go into details.
Right.
There's a lot going on. So having opportunities are critical. So you are indeed doing the Lord's work, Pastor Sherry. So thank you so very much. So I'm Tamara, and I'm the owner of Beautiful Creations. So we have been established since 2012, but we started off as a Christian t-shirt company. And we did that for a good 8 years. Not, of that 8 years went hard, probably about 3, and then just kind of passively the other 5. Then COVID hit. So like every year I was like, okay, I'm closing, I'm going out of business. And it's funny because when you are called to do something and the Lord trust you with something, he will remind you that it is not yours, right? So I would always be like, okay, we're closing when business would get slow or whatever. And he'd be like, girl, it's not your business to close. Like, what are you saying? So I was doing that like every year, and when COVID hit, I was like, yes, this is not chance. It's gonna be like, all right, you can shut it down. And I was sitting outside and I'm like, Lord, you've been good to us. Thank you. I'm ready to move on. And he was kind of like, good. I'm glad you said that, because you're still not closing. You're going to pivot into a women's clothing boutique. And at like COVID had just started. It was 2020. So I'm like, come on, God, like, give your girl a break. I was still working my corporate job at the time, raising my 3 children. My husband and I am married. I forgot to say all that. Married with 3 kids. But this is about me, not them. So we started in 2020, and we did online, and a year later, everything was going smooth, and that should have been my clue that the Lord was about to do something else. And I was like, okay, Jesus, it's time for me to get in front of the customers a little bit more. And he was like, great. And this is how you're going to do it. You're going to get a mobile boutique. And I'm like, what is that? Like, I don't even know where to begin.
Wow.
And he said, so every time the Lord has given me, this is Tamara, any information I give y'all, this is related to me, something to do, he always gives me a timeline, because I am what you call an adrenaline junkie. So I wait to the last minute because I just work best like that. It's not healthy. So in 2020, he said, so he spoke to me in March and he said, you have until the 4th of July to launch. And by launch, he meant vendors, get clothing, get the website built, get all of that stuff built. And I don't know how I did it. It was just the grace of God. I got it done by 4th of July. He said, we're going to do the mobile boutique. Same time he spoke to me and he said, this time I will give you until July 14th. And he made it happen. And it's been a journey, lots of mistakes, lots of disobedience, but lots of obedience. And so here we are. I did a lot of talking, so you guide the conversation. Help me, please.
I am. I have some questions for you, but I omitted to share a quick little video of you, just really quickly, and stay tuned, guys.
Mhm.
These beautiful things that I've got, please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things that I've got.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, those are my girls.
So it gave us a chance to get a little taste of what you have and
Yeah.
to see your mobile. It's really nice.
Thank you.
It is mobile boutique. So that is creative idea in itself. Can you tell us about the your clothing brand and what inspired you to start? So
Yeah.
just mhm,
So that's quite easy. I'm
mhm,
third generation boutique owner, right? So
uh,
it's just natural. My grandmother owned a boutique. She owned two locations. Actually,
huh,
she had a location in Plainfield, New Jersey, and she had a location in Freehold, New Jersey. And started working there probably when I was 11 or 12. So that was my very first job, learning
mhm,
the business. And my grandmother was very serious about us knowing the business, not just, selling clothes, but she taught us customer service, how to deal with customers. She took us into manufacturers. I'm so sorry.
that's right.
Um, she took us into the manufacturers and taught us how to speak to manufacturers, what we're
Mhm,
looking for, pricing, all of that. This is at 11, 12 years old, myself and
mhm,
my other two cousins, Alicia and Kimberly.
mhm,
And then my aunt Joyce, Pastor Brenda Thomas, she owned two locations, either two or three, in Lakewood, New Jersey.
mhm,
She had a storefront on Main Street, and then she had a warehouse on Route 9, which was like
mhm,
her wholesale warehouse. So I had an opportunity to work and glean from her as well. So my path, it wasn't easy, but the seed was planted, so that made it easier for me.
mhm,
Obviously, my clothing is a little bit different from theirs, right? They were very the the women that wanted to look like something at church, they shopped at Bertha's Best and G&J Wholesale Suits, like, that's their
right,
thing. So now they shop with beautiful creations. So yeah, fashion's in my blood. And
mhm.
did I answer your question?
You did, you did. What does being a Black-owned business mean to you, and how do you incorporate this identity into your fashion?
Yeah, so being a Black owned business means hope.
Mhm,
Um, I enjoy when my most favorite part of doing this is when we're out with the truck and we're at an event, and I see young girls or young ladies come in and they're just so in awe of what God allowed me to build. And
mhm,
I hear them say things like, "Wow, I've never seen anything like this." I am an absolute strong believer, and once you've been exposed to something, you
mhm,
can't forget it, right? And
mhm.
and part of that came from graduating from Howard University.
Yes.
Number one. So yes, I am a Howard University graduate, but so being able to impact and inspire the next generation and the generations after that, that means a lot to me. Being able to provide fashions for women who may not be able to find certain looks that they're looking for in the mall, right? So a
Mhm,
lot of my clothing fits plus size women, or it's modest clothing, but it still has the very contemporary feel, right? So you can still be stylish but modest, right? You don't have to be half naked. We're talking about church. I'm a church girl. Um,
mhm.
so I really love that part of owning the boutique as well. Yeah, so those are the two big things for me.
Great. Do you do any custom designs?
No, and please don't say that too loud because I don't need the Lord. Please, let's
Okay, moving right along.
keep moving right along.
Oh gosh, that was funny. How does your company's mission and vision reflect the values and culture of the Black community?
We're honest. Customer service is paramount for me. I know that sometimes the Black community is less than gracious towards small Black businesses when it comes to, missteps with customer service. So I try my absolute best to
Mhm.
ensure I'm dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. And when there is a misstep, going back and doing that service recovery. A lot of
Mhm.
that came from my corporate experience. I did 30 years in corporate. I'm now in a transition period and I'm transitioning into another field, but I did 30 years in corporate. So I know a lot about sales. I know a lot about customer service. The other part is getting into spaces where you may not normally see us, right? So going into um going into manufacturers or speaking to designers or having a conversation with the Steve Maddens and things of that you don't see a lot of us in those spaces. So that representation matters, whether it be big or small. I was featured in the Asbury Park Press twice. So that is, that was pivotal to my community.
Awesome. That's great. We're not going to talk about customs. So we're going to talk about what influences your design choices and how do you ensure they resonate with your target audience?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I take a lot of care in making sure I look at my customer base, right?
Mhm.
So when I'm shopping for my customers and I've taken a couple of my customers with me, it's not just I don't just say, "Oh, I think Pastor Sherry would look nice in that," or, "Oh, I really like that." I'm
Mhm.
thinking about fit. I'm thinking about material. I'm
Mhm.
thinking about things like, okay, I serve a lot of church women. What does it
Mhm.
look like when they raise their hand? What does
Mm.
it look like when they're shouting? You
Right.
know, what's the longevity of it? If they're in a service for a long time, does it have stretch? Right? Uh, um, how is it what's the care instructions? Can it be hand washed or does it always have to go to the dry cleaner? Um,
Okay.
so I really take a lot of care in that. And like I said, I've taken customers with me. So my body type is not necessarily the same as a lot of my customers. So I need to make sure that when I'm picking things out, if my customers have larger arms, does it fit? Right? If they have larger breasts, how does it fit around the breast? So
Okay.
material is that's my thing. Like I don't like cheap stuff. I don't want to put my customers in cheap stuff. So um I really take a lot of thought and care in doing that. So you may not always find in beautiful creations the latest things, but
Mhm.
you'll find consistent you will find consistent items, you will find consistent care, you will find carefully curated items for my customer base, for the community that shops with me.
Hmm. Okay. So you kind of answered all of my other questions in one, but just for the sake of the audience, I'm going to ask. Can you describe your design process from concept to finished product?
Yeah, so um okay, I'll talk about the truck. How about that? So
Yes.
when the Lord told me to get the truck, he blessed me with a silent investor, i.e. my daddy. Um, and we found the truck, and it's an
Mhm.
interesting story on how we found the truck, but it was like the outside was gorgeous, the inside not so much.
Okay.
Um, I love the finer things in life. I am a luxe girl. I love luxurious, and that doesn't mean expensive, right?
Mhm.
But I love to have an experience with whatever I do. And I knew I wanted every one of my ladies to walk in the truck and have an experience. And so
Mhm.
that was the first thing I thought of. And I sat down with the contractor and the designer and I told them this. And one of the first things I said is, I want wallpaper. I want this. I
Mhm.
saw this wallpaper. I said, I want wallpaper in the truck. My father, the contractor, and the designer, they said, girl, at the end of the day, it's still a truck. Nobody puts wallpaper in a truck. I said,
Mhm.
I do. And I got my wallpaper.
Nice, nice. Yeah.
I said, I'm servicing ladies and
Mhm.
ladies of a certain age. We don't like to sweat, especially when we're looking at clothes. We have to have air condition. So we
Mhm.
have air condition and heat in the truck. I
Nice.
knew that we needed to have a fitting room, but it needed to be spacious enough and have enough room for all body types to be able to go in and try on as many items as they want without having to worry about being cramped. And we were able to make that happen. So keeping my customers at the forefront of my mind,
Mhm.
working with people that see my vision and know how to work with me. Like,
Mhm.
one thing about working with me is, when I approach something, you will know things that I care about and things that I'm just like, all right, whatever. I don't really care about that. But when I
Mhm.
say I care about that thing and I want that thing, they like after the second or third time, they were like, nah, she really cares about this. The flooring, she just wants nice flooring. She don't care what it looks like. But that wallpaper, they learned very quickly that
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
so the inside of the truck, we have a chandelier, like a crystal
Nice.
chandelier. We have a pink
Nice.
dresser. Like when you come in the truck, I wanted sliding doors, uh,
Mhm.
sliding glass doors, so the air couldn't get out. We have that. When you walk in the truck, you really feel like you're walking into a brick and mortar. And
Nice.
yeah, so that's
Wow. That's wonderful. I love that.
thank you.
How do you ensure the quality and sustainability of the materials you use in your clothing?
So I order samples. When I spoke about mistakes earlier,
Mhm.
some very expensive mistakes were made around um,
Mhm.
selecting wrong clothing. Right, I lost $3,000-4,000 trying to
Wow.
follow trends and not carefully vetting out wholesalers, and so I lost a lot of money. But I did not put those items out because I knew my name was attached to that, so I just had to take the
Absolutely.
L and keep it moving.
Okay. What are some of your unique challenges you face as a Black-owned business in the fashion industry besides ordering wrong material?
Fast fashion,
Mhm.
competing with the fast fashion and, um, fast fashion is Shein, Fashion
Mhm.
Nova, consistency. I hate to say this, but people have champagne taste, and my grandmother would say people have champagne taste and beer budgets.
Right. Yeah.
Um, everything can't be on sale, especially when you're dealing with a small business, right? It costs
Mhm.
what it costs, but you pay the price, you will have these items for years, right? And when
Mhm.
you go somewhere, I tell my customers all the time, sometimes you don't just pay for the outfit, but you pay for the response you get from the outfit, right?
Mhm.
So when you walk into a room and people are like, wait a minute, like, girl, where'd you get that from? That comes at a premium.
Mhm.
So
Right.
yeah, so those are the some of the biggest challenges. Again, consistency, things like what we're seeing happening in the economy.
Mhm.
A lot of my business, I depend on events, and
Mhm.
a great chunk of my customer base are people that work for the federal government. So
Okay.
so I have a very large event that's supposed to happen in 2 weeks where most of those customers are. So today I was literally going back and forth. Do I do it or don't I do it? Right. Because
Uh-huh.
1,000 people just lost their job. And even the ones that didn't lose their job, are they going to want to spend the money?
Mhm.
So that, people don't realize that as small business owners, you're constantly having these battles in your mind. And yes, we pray, we acknowledge God.
Mhm.
Um, but it's a
Mhm.
lot that goes into this, especially when you're a believer.
It is, and especially because we are led of Him, it's challenging because sometimes we want to do our own thing. And
Yeah,
He's like, nope, I need you to do it this way. But everybody else is doing it this way, but no,
yeah,
I want you to do it this way. So, yeah, I have encountered those things too.
yeah. And walking by faith, right? So the faith
Absolutely.
part of me says, go to the event, do it. God is going to take care of you. And I'm like, Lord, are you sure? Are you sure, Jesus? Are you sure? It's
Yes, yes,
because
yes.
we're just human. At the end of the day, we're human. We're people of
We
faith, but we're human.
obedient humans.
Yeah.
How do you navigate these challenges while maintaining your brand's integrity and vision?
Yeah, you pray a lot, you fast. I
Mhm.
fast, I dedicate 3 days of my month, um,
Mhm.
back to the Lord and fasting and praying. You surround yourself with like-minded people.
Mhm.
I have 3 women that I surround myself with, and they know if I get too quiet, they'll call me and
Mhm.
be like, "Hey, you've been too quiet. What's going on? You're over there. You're over there
Mhm.
ruminating on something." Um, you listen to the voice of the Lord, and sometimes you're gonna fail. It is what it is. It is what it is. You're not gonna hit it right. 80% of the time you will succeed, 20% you're gonna fail. The key is fail fast.
Mhm.
People all the time. If when you fail fast, recover. Like don't sit in it, learn a lesson, implement, you know, I and just move on.
Right. So I'm going to bring this to a close because I know you have another engagement and we have another guest that's coming on. But I want to ask you, can you share any collaborations with other Black-owned businesses or artists that have been impactful?
Yeah, the fashion show that you just saw.
Okay.
Skip Bailey, he is a success coach, author, and a public
Mhm.
speaker, and he
Mhm.
does an event every year. And we collaborated and did the fashion show together, where I was able to bring the fashions and he handled everything else. So
Nice, nice, nice. What are your short and long-term goals for your company?
my short-term goals are to um sell these clothes every day.
Absolutely.
Be consistent with
Mhm.
Facebook Live, selling online, getting off the road so much. We spent a lot of time on the road last year, so getting off the road
Mhm.
so much and doing things a different way. Long term, another short term is I wanna host my own fashion show, and I'm going back and forth with dates right now. Um,
Nice.
and long-term goals are to I'm not gonna say it.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I'm not gonna say it.
Yes, yes. Can you answer this question? If not, we move right on. How do you envision your clothing brand to evolve over the next 5 years?
Um, I hope to have another location, whether that be, brick and mortar or another truck,
Mhm.
and maybe implement some men's clothing,
Okay.
and into that, and possibly do something custom.
It's already out there. Okay. As we come to a close, here's our last question. What legacy do you hope to leave through your company, um, and what areas of the fashion industry and broader for your community? So,
Um, I
both
hope,
within the fashion industry and broader community.
yeah, I hope to leave a legacy that makes my grandmother and my aunt proud,
Mm,
and one that that will make those who come after me want to continue.
mm,
Um,
nice.
and I hope to have a legacy in such a way that when my great, 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 great grandchildren look at my picture, they
Mm,
kiss it because they live so well because of the work that I did.
nice. Nice. Thank you so much. We hope that you can come back and
Thank
um,
you for
share
having
some more with us as you do your custom
me.
apparel.
In the
But
meantime, shop what I have, ladies.
yes, you should leave your website in the, what is your website? I'll go ahead and put it.
www.beautifulcreations.com. That is BEY youtiful.com. I'm typing it in the chat as well. And follow us on Facebook so you can see new releases and shop with us and have fun. We have fun on our Facebook lives.
You said Beautiful Creations.
Yes.
.com. Okay. Here is the website, ladies, gentlemen as well. If you want to buy something, purchase something for the special someone in your life, you can do so. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Any closing remarks before you leave?
No. Shop, spend that money. And send your kids to Howard University. You won't regret it. That one was for my brother Tommy.
Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Well, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for this opportunity. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you. Bye. Mr. Wilson.
Tamara was dope. I want to give a round of applause to her, man, and praise for
And
whatever.
so you.
So I'm so encouraged by just hearing how she's maneuvering through it for sure. For sure.
Yes. Yes. It's wonderful that you guys are here to share, and that's most important because we have to support one another.
For sure.
So giving her that shout out and compliment is really good.
For sure. And I guess in DuFat, I want to thank you as well for just allowing us to have this space to kind of give the world a little bit of what we do. So I appreciate you, and I encourage you to keep doing it, for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
For those of you who are just tuning in, we're diving into another topic that's not only vital for car enthusiasts, but also highlights the importance of supporting Black-owned businesses. We're thrilled to introduce to you again Glenn Wilson, a passionate advocate for the quality vehicle care and community empowerment. As a leader in the car dealing and tinting industry, he has been instrumental in elevating the standards of service, also emphasizing the unique value that Black-owned businesses bring to the automotive world.
I'm gonna start looking around. I don't even know who you.
It's so funny you said that. Someone did that to me.
That sounds so good. I want you to send that to me after this so I can put it in my resume.
Absolutely. Someone did that to me just yesterday, actually. And I was like, who is this person?
No, I
don't realize how much we do. And then when it's on paper, it's like, wait a minute, I do.
Pastor Sher, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's funny.
Thank you.
So we're going to give you, again, this opportunity to just pretty much share. I know you did a brief introduction, but for those who are just tuning in or will watch the replay, that you can just give a little insight of what you do. And I know it's not just tailored to the automotive world, but it's more that you do. So please share.
I'll give you the basic rundown, and then we'll get into it, how it's kind of evolved into what it is. So, again, I'm Glenn Wilson, owner operator of Shine Doctor Detailing and Tint, remote starts and undercarriage and a bunch of other stuff. But in our 5th year, actively serving, the community. And for what it's worth, I mean, it's been for me, we're all Christians here. It's been a walk of faith for me, and it's been an opportunity for me to get to know God in ways that I wouldn't have known him if he didn't have to be like the sole provider for my household.
Wow.
5 years in, completely
Mm-hmm.
business, no job on the side, nothing, strictly relying on this business to sustain my household. My household is growing. This week we had our second. My son Cam is here. My
Right.
daughter Addison, my wife, and it's just been a walk. It's been a walk, and we'll get into it for sure. We are again located in Manchester, 2486 Ridgeway Boulevard in Manchester, New Jersey. And yeah, we'll get into it for sure.
Okay. Can you tell us about the background and what inspired you to actually start the business in car detailing and tinting?
Sure. So I've always been into cars.
Mhm.
I've always had a car that I was putting rims on and tinting and, going out with the guys to these car meets. And a part of that means that you clean your car before you show up because you want to present yourself in a way that your car is clean.
Mhm.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think that it would ever be something that I would do, as a business. I was working as a behavioralist in a school,
Wow.
comfortable.
Mhm.
And then COVID happened, and it was a situation where get the vaccine or you lose your job. And at
Wow.
the time, I had already kind of started detailing on the side, more so out of boredom. I was home. They had sent us home. The schools were closed. And a friend of mine called me one day and she said, "Hey, can you detail my car?" Like more so just knowing that is kind of what I would do for myself.
Mhm.
And more so out of boredom, not wanting to be home another day, I said yes. And that day I detailed her car. When I dropped it off at her job, her manager wanted his car done, and then
Wow.
someone else wanted their car done. And by the end of the week, I realized that, from this, I can make more on my own time than I can make at
Mhm.
my job. So when they offered, take the mandatory vaccination or lose your job, I just didn't want to take the vaccination. Not over the vaccination. I mean, more so because for me, they weren't paying me enough that would even make me want to make the decision. So they laid me off 2 weeks
Mhm.
before 2 weeks before my daughter was born.
Mhm.
And the only thing I had in my hands was what I believe God gave me, and it hasn't been the easiest, but it's been amazing in the sense that it's provided ample opportunities for me to learn to just trust God to be my source,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. And he rewards us for trusting him.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, he
Sure.
does. What is the initial vision for your business, and how was it evolve? Has it evolved over the years?
This is a great question. And I think the answer is going to be cool. So when I first started, I thought I want to have this amazing detail business. And,
Mhm.
obviously you have these ideas of what you want it to become.
Mhm.
And I'll give you a little bit of a backstory before I go forward.
Okay.
My father's a pastor
Mhm.
here in Lakewood and Howell. And what's always been spoken over my life is, God's going to use you to bring people to his kingdom.
Mhm.
Right. And, I would always accept it, but I didn't really know, how God would use it, So I started this detail business and I just felt like, I'm going to go out here and make my own money. And there was plenty of opportunities when I realized that this isn't as easy as I thought it would be.
Mhm.
In those moments, I would find myself questioning God in the sense like, God, this is what I know you gave me, but it's not fair that my family is struggling because of my desire. I don't want to be selfish in my desire to succeed as an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
that my family struggles. So if this isn't what you're going to do for me,
Mm.
take it away from me and I'll just go back to work. Like I was happy where I was. And I would speak to God like very strong like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like me hopping into entrepreneurship or business was for me a faith walk. It was me jumping on the limb and strictly trusting in what I believe God to be giving me.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I call it the woes of business ownership, you know, the swings. And detailing is great in the summertime and the springtime because a lot of people associate clean cars with nice weather.
Absolutely.
Right. And you come into September and August. And for me, you know, those months for me are rough,
Mm-hmm.
rough, you know, and it's hard. I'll tell you, it's hard because you don't want to quit in the sense that if I give someone the same 40 hours that I would use for my own business,
Mm-hmm.
then it makes me unavailable for my business. And if I
Right.
work in my business, then I make more money than what I would work if I was working for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it would put me in these weird positions where I would constantly be asking God, like, what are you doing? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing? And this is the answer to your question. You know, my original plan was I want to have this amazing detail business. And one day God spoke to me. I was in my shop. I had no work probably for a week. And I was in the shop and I had a car that was coming in about $1,000.
Mm.
The work that they were coming in. And on the way in, I'm waiting for them and they call me and they cancel.
Mm.
And I'm in there crying. I'm crying my eyes out, like literally, like, because I don't understand, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was in that moment that God really showed me what this is all about. And
Mm-hmm.
he showed me this isn't about cars. This is about souls.
Ooh.
And how people come to you because they go to the car wash and what they call clean isn't what I call pure.
Mm.
And they're going to clean the outside of the car, but the inside of the car is what needs to work.
Wow.
And when God really demonstrated what this is all about, you're going to use me to be to reach people, but you also got to know what kind of people you're dealing with. You're dealing with people who have very outside this world is very superficial, and it teaches people to be very cosmetic on the outside, but on the inside, they're damaged. And you know what I come across a lot of in my own business is people with great looking exteriors of their vehicles. But if you open that door and you really look at what people are actually riding around in, you see that people have a lot of mess. And it wasn't until I understood that I stopped questioning God. What am I doing? I'm educated. I have smarts. What am I doing cleaning people's cars? And it was more so for God to show me that this is the process of purification. And you learn to appreciate it when you understand that this is what God did for me as well. And why can I go in a car and clean up vomit and clean up dog hair and clean up whatever people might have in between their seats? The reason why I still appreciate it today is because I identify with somehow the interior of this vehicle. You know, it's this interior of this vehicle. There's nothing so gross about this thing that God would have looked at me on the inside and said, nah, it's just too dirty for me. And I take that same approach to detailing. I give me a car. I don't care how dirty it is. I'm not in the business of cleaning clean cars. I want the dirtiest of them. And I promise, you know, it's going to come at a cost, right? But when it leaves, it'll be pure. It'll be shining again. It'll be all these things. And it's the revelation that God gave me. And it's the reason why 5 years in, through the ups and downs of business ownership, I can't leave it alone. Because what it showed me isn't even about this. Yeah, I come across a lot of great people and all these things, but every card to me represents a person that I may come in contact with. I can't hear you.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I was clearing my throat, so I put it on mute. Um, it's it's amazing how he strategically places us in positions, whether it's entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
or industry, or even in the corporate world. How
Mhm.
he strategically just placed us in these situations so that we can minister to someone or
Absolutely.
blessing
Abs-
in their lives.
Yep.
And that's why when we want to let go, he doesn't allow us
Doesn't
to.
allow you to.
Our assignment hasn't been fulfilled yet.
Yep. 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 I'll tell you this, and one thing that I've learned, throughout this process of, I think that God does want to turn our passions
Mhm,
into ways to sustain us, right?
mhm, mhm,
And I talk to a lot of people who want to go into business ownership, and
mhm,
I don't know what industry to get into. And like one of the questions I always ask them is, what are you passionate about? Like,
mm,
what are the things that you are like that you enjoy doing? Because God has wired us specifically for those things. And the reason why you enjoy the things that you enjoy is
mhm.
because that is where God has placed that enjoyment for you.
Right.
For me, it's cars, and I get a chance to work in this industry where I get to deal with cars every day. And from this passion that I have, he allows a little space for me to fill. And from this space, I get to, take care of my family. I get to do all these things.
Mhm,
And I do truly feel like, God is in the business of really tapping into those things that he made you love. And if you would just trust him to develop that love into something, whatever it is, it may not be a business, it may be a ministry, it may be whatever, but it has the capability to sustain you.
mhm. Yeah, I think about that scripture in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Give us the desires. You give us the desires of our heart, but I believe that is the time when I am live. I
Mhm.
believe that that's the time when he would, um, I look at the scripture as he puts his desire in us to desire what he desires for us, if that
Oh,
makes sense.
absolutely.
So, sometimes we're like, why am I thinking about this? Or why do I desire this? It's he
Yeah.
placed that desire within us.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has to be that way. It has to
Mm,
be that way. And that's why you love things that people don't love. And that's why, and I've gotten a lot better at not judging people for not liking the things that I like, right? Because they're just wired differently. And somehow, spiritually speaking, the way that they're wired, it means that they are wired for a different audience, a different flock, a different, their desires, their loves are going to bring them around a different group of people that God also wants to reach,
mhm.
so.
Right. So let me just take a quick
Yeah.
for a moment to for those of you who have been texting me while I'm live, it goes right into uh, the live recording. So if you can refrain until after this live or put it in the comments, it would be great. I've received a couple of them so far, but that's it. That's the spiel. So back to our regular scheduled program.
Yep.
Um, where, other than you talked about in the fall months, winter months, it's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
What other challenges or opportunities you faced as a Black entrepreneur in the industry?
I don't know if I'll answer this question, and I hope that it answers your question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that my struggles are because I'm an African American business owner or just because it's just the way God designed it. I'll say that I have friends of mine within the same industry that, started off their business with a little bit of help. Mine started with an idea, and my father and my mother's hose are out at their house and
Mm-hmm.
in their driveway, and start buying little things, and then you go to school and you get certified, and
Mm-hmm.
now you have the skill, but now you still need the capital to invest into your own stuff. And thank God for putting people in my life that opened doors for me that would have probably otherwise not occurred. I say, one of the struggles that I had is a lot of times just believing that you can, in a world that makes you feel like maybe you can. And now you're coming into these situations, and a lot of times people are opening doors, but what you're coming against really is your own self-doubt. Like, there were times where I was doubting, do I even belong here? Do I?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've never generated more money for myself, and it's almost to the point where it's just like, this doesn't even feel right. Like, do I belong here? It's an honest thing, and I feel like the answer to that is in knowing your identity and who Christ is, and knowing where He places you. But I feel like in this world that I have to live with, you also you have to deal with the idea that in many ways it doesn't really feel like you're meant to succeed. And thank God for His favor and His grace that continues to open doors and makes things happen behind the scenes that you couldn't work for. And in that regard, it's maybe unfair to them. Like, I got something else on my side that is making things happen. But even when things are happening, you have to get out of your own mind and understand that this is the will of God for your life, and you just got to accept it.
Absolutely. And the interesting part about His will for our lives is when He told me to do this podcast, I felt the same way. In each year, it's our 4th year, and I'm like, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, He's like, now I need you to do a clothing brand on top of that. A scripture as a reminder of His plans that He has for us.
Yeah.
His will is not our will.
Right. I'll tell you that, there is no level of success. There is no level of an advancement that is void of the need to trust in God. Right. And in everything, I can make X amount of money last year, and this year doesn't feel like enough, and struggle. And I feel like for me, the way I've kind of understood why my business is so seasonal is because if I allow you to succeed 12 months out of the year, there comes a place where maybe you don't feel you need me to do that.
Wow.
And it's not to keep you humble, but I'll tell you, in my 2nd year, I was August. And I was backed up on rent. So what I would love to do, I worked through the first X amount of months of money so that on my slow season, I can stack for the rent for the slow season, and everything is covered.
Right.
When I got to August that year, there was nothing.
Wow.
And everything ended. And I'm like talking to God, man, God, what are you doing? I need 5,000 between September and December to take care of my family.
Right.
It's like the end of the month. No money comes in. I'm at the shopping day, nothing. I'm literally just dropping off rags because I don't feel like sitting in my house again.
Wow.
Sitting here dealing with depression, like literally sitting here feeling like unproductive. And I'm just gonna go here and just drop my rags off. And I'm leaving there, and I'm a detailer. The only thing I had to do that day, I just wanted to clean my own car, just to not go home again. And on the way to the car wash, some lady from my church calls me, and she said, "Hey, I was in prayer last month, and God told me to separate some money for you.
Oh my.
But not to release the blessing yet." And He said, and she called me that morning on the way, and she told me this morning God told me to release. She wrote me a check for $5,000 to pay my rent. She paid my So if there's anything I've learned is that, man, listen, God is not in the industry of trying to make you rich. He want to be your source, right? And if you can't get to one without the other, then He rather you trust Him enough to be the source. If you can't get rich and still understand that God provided the blessing, then there ain't no rich for you.
This is rich right here, what you said.
For me, if I never understood anything in business, that day, it told me everything I needed to know. I don't operate based on busy seasons. God got whatever I need. He got.
He said he maketh rich and add no sorrow to it. But the blessing of that was she didn't give you $3,000.
She gave me the amount. She gave me the amount. God.
Exact amount that you told him you needed.
She wrote that check, and I had it in my mailbox, and her mailbox. I had to pick it up that same day. And paid my rent for those 3 months that I would have been struggling for.
And you can't tell me he's not a provider.
You kidding me? No way.
Ooh, that's his name.
No way. So I know what the industry says for those who don't serve God, but I just look at things different because I don't feel like this is a business that God gave me to work in the industry. I feel like for me, this is a ministry and things that he wanted me to understand from detailing that would allow me to be a better soul winner, and how to hug people that people don't want to hug, and how to be sit next to people wouldn't want to, because I'm used to dealing with like 30 situations. You know what I mean? So it's deep. For me, it's deep, and thank God, I get to make money in it and all these things, but the lessons that I've learned from it, this isn't even a business. It's for me, it's a ministry, and the way I approach it and the way I look at it, whether I speak to people directly about God or not, is with what God has shown me in it, and how he's able to make you so like okay with dealing with people with mess. And that's what God has called me to. He called me to be the friend of the drug addict, the friend of the alcoholic, the friend of all these people. And I just want y'all in my church. And if I got to sit next to you and I want to make you feel comfortable, because I deal with throw up and dog feces, and I deal with all these things, then why not? Why not me?
Wow.
So
you bless me, and I'm quite sure you have blessed those who are watching or those who may watch this on a replay. You are ministering tonight, even though we're talking about your business. If he maketh rich and add no sorrow to it was a person, it would be you.
Listen, Pastor Sherry, I appreciate the opportunity. I mean, I don't think many people really know, why I enjoy it. I think I've shared this with my youth group at my church one time, and obviously with my wife, but it's a business, yeah. But for me, the understanding that I've gotten about God and all of it has just been, it's just been everything for me. What I've learned about who he is to me, the Father that provides, but also who he's allowed me to become through the process of detailing in regards to the soul winner that he always called me to be, and who I know he's called me to be for.
Your story reminds me of the Karate Kid, Danielson, when wax on, wax off, and you realize paint the fence, and these things were to prepare him for the fight,
right?
You will, and this is preparing you for ministry.
Indeed.
He knows what he's doing in this thing, but what I love the most is that you're following him and you're allowing him to lead you, even in this, even in your down season. You're trusting him, and he's going to always provide for you.
Yeah. Oh, I believe that for sure. What's crazy? I write a lot on Facebook about like my struggles, and I don't do it because I want attention. I do it because next year on February 26th, I want to know what I wrote today, and how he did it. Yeah, I do it like more for me. I'm not asking for anyone to provide. I know where it's coming from. I just next year when I come across it, I want to be able to say, yeah, that was it again.
Wow. He did it again.
Did it again after that.
That's going, because I feel like you're ministering. This thing is just deep. What services does your business offer, and what sets it apart from your competitors?
So we do obviously basic interior and exterior details. We do paint corrections, which essentially is just the industry name for compounding your exterior blemishes off the car and then polishing the paint so that it shines again. We do ceramic coating, which would include the paint correction, but then essentially applying like a layer of paint or a layer of protection over it. So I'll give it to you in ways that you understand. Maybe when women go and get their nails done,
Mm-hmm.
paint, they get everything figured out. They put the color on it, and then they lay the layer of clear coat over it.
Mm-hmm.
Clear coat lasts however long it lasts. For me, it lasts 6 years.
Wow.
Where essentially the rain itself will clean your car on the outside.
Wow.
You don't really have to do anything. You just, and then it kind of prevents it from getting scratched. It prevents it from getting, the exterior stuff that would typically happen. We also do remote starters. We do tint.
Wow.
We do tint. We do spray and bed liners. We do undercarriage protection from rust. Commercial tinting as well. So your house windows, if you want to tint those, we do that. So we do a lot of business stuff. And for right now, like that's it.
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah.
We talked about this before, but you need a commercial.
I need something. I need to figure something out. I do.
Yeah, you do. We'll talk after. Oh, wow. This is deep. Can you describe a typical day in the life of your business?
All right. Let's say on a day we have an appointment, right? Because we're only really there by appointment only. So on a day that we have a typical day, we have an appointment. We'll discuss with the customer or the client prior whether I'm picking the vehicle up or if they want to drop it off. In a situation where I'm picking the car up, I go to the house, I pick the vehicle up, I bring it back to the shop. We start with a basic clean just to get the surface of the vehicle free of like any dirt or anything on it. Once we do that, we pull it into the garage. Typically, I like to start with the interior of the vehicle. In most cases, is kind of what gives me or what requires like the most work. More so because I'm so like tedious about it. I literally enjoy this stuff, and I have a standard of the way my cars need to work, and a lot of times it's the interior of the car that kind of gets, that makes me work the hardest. Once we get the interior done, we'll move to the exterior, where we'll start like the compounding process, and then that'll remove all the blemishes off the vehicle, and then we'll just polish the car back, and it essentially look like showroom quality again.
Nice.
Then we take the videos and then we upload them, and then, we're good there.
Let me table that videos. So if you have videos, you can make a commercial. Okay, so here we go. What trends have you observed in car detailing and tinting in the tinting industry, and how do you adapt to them?
I think one thing about me in business that's different from a lot of people out here. I mean, where I live, we live in the Jersey Shore area. This place is very saturated with business or with detail businesses, and maybe for good reason. On average, every household has about 2. So I'm never, in a sense, threatened by them because there's still enough vehicles for everyone to eat, right? But one thing that I'm very critical of, as far as my own position in the industry, is I don't want to. I always want to know what the market value for pricing is. I don't want to be overpriced. Most of the time I don't want to be at market value. I want to be a little bit cheaper because I want to trust that I can get more money on volume. And I think one of the issues that we come across around here within the industry is with the oversaturation of people within the industry. You come across people who are doing work, whatever the quality is or not, but they do it for like half the price, And when you're charging maybe $100 less than market value, it's hard to lose more than that. At that point, I'm not really making $1. And at the end of the day, like I still want to take care of my family. But I realize this, like the people who call you and know what they're looking for, when you tell them a price, in most cases, if they know what it costs, then they don't really mind paying what it costs, as long as if I charge you $100 and I want to make you feel like the car is worth $101, you still feel you won, Another issue is that I kind of ran into earlier in the years is, before I got my location, I was working kind of contracted by a lot of people within the area. So I was doing the ceramic coating work and the detail work for a lot of businesses around here. They wanted to offer it, but they didn't have a person to do it. And a few times I got a call about, a person, and I was, they would call me about a price, and I would tell them, let's say ceramic coating for me, I'm gonna do it for $1,200. Where am I dropping this car at? You're gonna bring it to my friend's garage, And one time, at least one time, I had the opportunity. A person called me and they wouldn't book with me, but they went to a place because they had a location, and they paid $2,000 for the same work, and I still did it. And that's kind of when I realized, sometimes the brick and mortar it's a facade, but a lot of times when people are booking, their appointments, it's more so they want to see that you're official, I guess.
You're established, yeah.
Established. So, that's kind of when God moved me to where I'm at. And thank God I've been there about 2 years in April.
Nice. That's wonderful. I love your story. How do you stay updated with the latest technologies and techniques in your field?
Social media is amazing, because social media, if you use it the right way and you don't get distracted by the nonsense, you can find out a lot of things that is going on, YouTube is another thing. The industry is great in the sense that you can do amazing work, once you find your combination of pad and machine and product, right? But what you realize is, at the end of the day, once you know how to do what you're doing, what you're trying to gain more of is not really money, it's time. Because that becomes the more valuable asset. I want to make as much money as I can in a short period of time. And if I could do 2 cars in the same amount of time that it would have taken me to do 1 car, then I win, kind of.
Absolutely.
So I feel like, a lot of what I spend my time doing is just kind of learning, what's everyone using. I know what works for me today, without a doubt. Like I know, my cars come out consistently the way that they're supposed to, but how do I gain more time? I know today for me to ceramic coat a car, it takes me 5 hours. How do I get this car done in 2.5 hours? And maybe I can do 2 cars, in the same 5. So that's kind of where I'm at. I use a lot of YouTube, and thank God for friends in the industry that don't look at me as competition, that allow me to just bounce ideas off of them and, give me the stuff, people that have financial backing and have the ability to kind of, spend money to play with new things and find out what works, and that give me the information so that I don't have to do the same, and I'm blessed in that regard. I'm blessed there.
The devil was busy. However, I want to ask you this question, and I don't know if you kind of answered it, but I'm gonna throw it out there, give you something to think about. Have you collaborated or in contract with car dealerships?
Yeah, actually, I just booked another one last week. We haven't really made it official, but I just got another Ford dealership in Burlington County.
Nice.
More so for tint, but we're working on some other detailed things as well. And yeah, I have a Toyota dealership here in Lakewood that I do a lot of work for. I deal with another company in Bricktown, but they've since kind of added detailing to their thing. And ever since I got my own brick and mortars, they kind of looked at me as more as competition. So that kind of fell off a little bit. But God provides. God provides.
Yes.
So.
Yes. So we're going to bring this to a close, but I want to ask you just a couple of more questions. Who has been your biggest inspiration or mentor in your journey as a business owner?
It's a weird question for me. It's a weird. I've been a pastor's son all my life. And let me not cry, man.
This is a big place. I've
known my calling my life. Like even even this business owner phase of mine, it doesn't feel like it's the thing for me. It's a part. It's where I'm at today. But I know that all of it pushing me to where like God has called me to. So I've had the pleasure of watching my dad serve, my parents, both of them serve my entire life. And it's the reason why all of this makes so much sense.
Yes.
Yeah, it's literally the reason why. You know, I want to be, a businessman. Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate, again, this interview and the ability to speak about, what I do day to day. But I know that for me, the bigger calling isn't entrepreneurship, it's ministry. So one thing I've gotten better at is resisting the need to be impulsive and to make decisions based on what I feel is right for the moment. So I know where I want this business to go, and if God takes it there, then fine. But if business falls to the ground today, it still makes me a better evangelist to my it's not. And God, who is my source, isn't my source in business. He's my source, right? So the same God that can sustain me doing this would probably sustain me more if I'm committed to adding to the kingdom, right? So my biggest influence is my parents, my pastors, my parents. Their commitment to serving people and God's people has been nothing short of amazing and nothing short of impactful. So, and wherever God takes me, whether it's detailing cars or whatever is next, if I can be in a position where I can serve, to just be an example of the love of God in any capacity, then I'm good. I'm good.
Wow, that's beautiful. As you were speaking, I was thinking about the 3 Hebrew boys when they said, even if he doesn't deliver us out this fire, we know that he's able.
Yep.
And I love that about you. And this felt like an interview about ministry, because it is. Thank you for your obedience. I would love to meet your parents. This is just amazing. The impact that they have on you, rather. Yeah. This is my last and final question for you tonight. What advice would you give to other Black entrepreneurs looking to start their own business?
There's a lot of advice, but let me see if I can figure out what the best one for me would be. It's easier to gather the information and then start, right? Because once you start, you realize how hard this is, right? So, these interviews are great because you hear about the reality of people's struggles, like, and if you could prepare as much, and it's not even so much financially, it's not financial preparation. It's not financial preparation if you serve God. Because if God is your source, then God will make the way for you. Like, it's hard to speak because I feel like I'm speaking to 2 very different people, and entrepreneurs but entrepreneurs that believe in God, if you hear it, and God is telling you to go, then go. Like, and just trust. Entrepreneurs that don't believe in God, I feel like it's harder because you have to endure all these woes of business ownership on your own. And in that regard, not to say that us or we don't, I say that we still have to be, wise in our approach as to how we approach entrepreneurship, but it's weird. And in spiritual things, when God says go, you go. And the closer the space between you hearing it and you doing it, the better you are, right? Because if you delay it too long, then maybe you miss it, right? If you don't serve God, then you have to do the preparation and make sure that you don't fail on your own. you know, my business, even today, like if you look at my business, you would probably look at it as one that fails
Mhm.
because I don't make money all year round. I don't. I mean, realistically, there's a lot of months where I don't get there.
But
But
he takes care of you.
what God has shown me is that this isn't business.
Mm.
It's not business. So like my goal isn't for you to succeed, it's for you to trust.
Ooh.
And if you can learn to trust, then you'll succeed. Right? Like it's like the oxymorons of God. It's like it's not for you to make me successful, it's so that I make your name great. And if I can do that,
Whew. Mm. Mm.
and if I can do that, then I succeed at whatever I put my hands on.
Mm. You just blessed me.
And that's that. It's different. I didn't ask God for a business. I was happy where I was, and
Mhm.
I lost my business, and this is what God gave me. I clean dirty cars for a living.
Mm.
But my relationship with God from it has been amazing.
Mm. Ooh.
So
Mm.
I'm grateful. And again, I'm never
Mm.
I don't always love it. I'll tell you, there's some days that I hate it. I hate where God sometimes has me. Like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what? like, what are you doing, man? Like, I'm not lazy. Like, why am I sitting on this couch? I want to work, and it's like, not the time. It's not the time.
Mhm.
No, it's just learn to trust God. It's a journey, and you know, at every level, it's going to require different things that you think you're too good for, and God's gonna humble you to say, nah, this is what trust looks like at this level. And it might be months that you're not working, and maybe months where you don't feel you can pay a bill, and then 1 month he pays all the bills. It's just it doesn't make sense. But I have this thing, and maybe we'll talk about it more
Mhm.
after. You know, one of these lessons that I feel like God has been speaking to me about is the danger of speaking to undeveloped seeds.
Mm.
Seeds that, like, you know, you planted, and like I don't want to speak because I don't want to curse it, but I know I got something in the ground right there, like, and I'm waiting for it to develop into this harvest, but I don't want to curse it, but I need what's in the ground. I need the harvest from that, you know.
Mhm.
And a lot of times I feel like, you know, what God has kind of gotten me to is, before you speak, don't speak.
Mm. My goodness.
The danger of speaking to undeveloped seeds that you know you planted is just, you just gotta stop. Just stop. Don't even speak about it. God knows. And keep planting. Keep planting. And in due season, everything will work out.
In due season.
In due season. And we're not exempt from it. At no level of success are you exempt from having to operate within God's seasons for your life. Period.
Whew. Glenn,
That's it.
you have,
To
I
cry.
don't know about anybody else,
To cry, bro.
but you have blessed me. You have made me cry.
Thank you.
This has been a joy interviewing you, and I would love to have you back, seriously,
I'll be here.
on another level. But we're gonna talk in the back. But you have some gems that you dropped tonight, and I know that everyone who tunes in to watch this is going to be blessed. They're going to be blessed. At this time, I'm going to open up the line for those to call live on air. Any comments or questions that you may have for our guest tonight. He has been a blessing. to us. And if you want to be a blessing to him in any way, you can do that as well. This is amazing. I didn't think the show was going to end like that. And with this ministry for this series. Fret not, small beginnings.
Indeed.
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 Any of you have any questions? Please feel free to call into the line now. I'm going to leave it open for a few minutes. Don't hesitate because it's not going to be up here too long, but you are welcome to call in. The number is at the bottom of your screen. 252-623-3205. All of you who have been texting me while I've been live, you don't want to call in? Yes. This has been a blessing, and I am definitely going to have you back sooner than later. I am.
I'm here for it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Sometimes I don't know, man. I don't get a chance to speak enough about like what my business really is. You know, I appreciate, this platform that you developed and, went with, because I feel like a lot of people, within the church, within the body, we enter into entrepreneurship as if it's like our thing.
Right.
And it's like, no, God wants to be a part of that. And if you allow him to be a part of it, you'll understand the favor that God can have like over your business.
Right.
And, don't have your own thing, allow God to be a part of stuff, and it's a blessing, and I appreciate you. And I don't want to come off, from this interview as if everything for me has been easy. It hasn't. It hasn't. I can say that I've cried many nights, but the hope, the hope that comes from knowing that the God we serve is a father that is attentive to the needs of his children and doesn't forget. He doesn't. In the same way, my daughter doesn't have to ask me for things that she needs because I know what she needs. How much more our Father, and it's true. It's true that God is good. He's good, and through the highs and lows of it, God is God, and that's it.
Yeah, he is good. It's interesting. I'm an introvert, believe it or not. And when he told me to do a podcast, I thought, oh, sure, I can do that, because I didn't think I would be seen. But having to be in front of everyone every week is a chore.
Yeah.
It's a chore. It's a chore.
And God's developing you, and that's it. And you're gonna have to keep on doing it. And God will give you the strength. I mean, there was a time when I started, I didn't know a thing about detailing. When I went to my certification class to get certified, I had to pretty much told them my fibs. I didn't know how to touch any of those machines. They wouldn't let me in the class without having some experience. So I told them, yeah, I know all about it.
Right.
And I went to class, and they would have these groups that go to demonstrate, and I would be the second person. I would be in the second group on purpose, just so I can watch the first group and see what they're doing, because I can imitate what they're doing. I don't really know, and
right.
Sometimes it's going to take you just jumping out the box and doing it, and allowing God to do the rest. So
yeah,
I look forward to seeing your growth. I'm a subscriber. I'm a subscriber now, so.
Oh, thank you, and keep me in prayer, please, as I aim to do His will, because He has me going in still the same direction, but He has me coming out more. And the things that He's given me, I'm like, no, this is for a guest to do.
Yeah.
Nope, it's for you to do.
Right. Indeed.
Yeah, so keep me in prayer.
I think my last thing I'm going to tell you is, my encouragement to you is don't allow yourself to be overwhelmed.
Hmm.
It's possible that your audience may never reach millions of people, but it's possible that God also calls you for the 100 that might tap on here, because maybe there's no one else that can reach them. And in that is your value, right? And don't allow the world and their system of grading success to determine what you consider success. It's not. It doesn't occupy the same. Our rewards are not based on numbers. It's not those numbers anyway. So, if God is calling you to be a podcaster and to run it, it's not maybe. I mean, maybe it's for the millions, but if it's not, and it's for the 1,000 or the 100, serve them with the same tenacity that you would the million, because maybe that's who God is calling you to, and maybe you're the only voice that can reach them.
Wow.
And my friends, the people that God is calling to me today,
wow,
are not the people that they're the ex drug addict, they're the ex, they're the ex whatever.
Right.
And it's
we have a caller.
Why they're calling him to me, I feel like, is because I'm not too far. I'm not far into the Bible to love you the way you need to be loved. Okay? And if that comes from detailing, then fine. It's the reason why I'm cool working in these dirty conditions. But this is why, like my population, the people that God is calling me to connect to the kingdom, are not the people that they're the people with history and past that maybe no one else would speak to. And it's, and I would say the same to you. God is not. He's not throwing darts in the air. He knows exactly what he's calling you to and why. And nothing is accidental. Nothing is coincidental. Everything is strategic.
Absolutely. There's a caller coming in. Hold on a moment. It looks like someone. Okay. That did not go through. Okay. There's someone playing. But thank you so much for depositing into my life as well. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And congratulations again on your newborn.
Yeah,
that is a blessing.
Get back to the hospital.
That's for you.
I'm bored and everything.
That's for you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
For gracing us with your presence. And we look forward to seeing you on His Will for Your Life again.
I'll be here whenever.
Yes.
You got me whenever, Pastor Sherry. I'm hooked.
Great. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to bring this to a close. Remember, it's okay not to be okay, just as long as we don't stay in that place. Also, next week, please join us in our new series, We Listen and We Don't Judge. We're going to have the millennials kick us off. I think they're kicking us off on the 5th. They're kicking us off. And then we're going to have other guests lined up for that entire month on the series, We Listen and We Don't Judge. So please tune in. If you haven't already liked or subscribed to our channel, do this at this time. And we'll see you all next week if Yah delays his coming. Thank you so much for watching. And we're leaving. Anything you want to close out with, sir?
No, thank you. Thank you. And bless you, Pastor Sherry. Bless you.
Thank you. Bless you as well. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Join us again next week for another riveting, informative segment